All right, it looks like we are going. So, hello, welcome to Hall Yeah Comics. My name is Nate. I have issues, and today's issues I'm going to share with some friends. So, I've invited a couple people to come and talk about comics with me. Anybody who's seen me before has probably seen my first guest here with me because I feel like he's been with me from the beginning. I've got Hagan from Lettuce Comics.
Hmm.
And then we have invited a new friend to come and play over at our house today, and that is Jacob from Bone Claws Comics. So, Jacob, hello,
Hello.
welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Jacob, you started your channel how long ago?
Almost a month now, so 3 weeks and some
Wow.
change. Yeah.
Okay. So you really, I'm kind of surprised you say that because I feel like it's been longer than that. But you had
Yeah.
commented on one of my videos and I had checked out your channel and I really liked it. So I
Oh,
like
thank
what you're
you.
doing over there. And I wanted you to come on here and show off some books with me and Hagen and just kind of talk about the things that we like.
Okay.
Hagen, how have you been?
I've been swell. It's been a whirlwind of a week. I've done like a bunch of YouTube stuff, not for my channel, but it's been swell, like I said.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's get started. I want to share, and I want to ask too. So I'm gonna start, Jacob. This one I got, and I brought this to show you, and maybe
Mm.
encourage Hagen to read it as well. This is not a comic; it's a trade. But I got this based on the
Yes.
video that you made, and you did sell it to me. I read the first, I think, issue of that's within the trade, and I really liked it. So this is Little Monsters, Jeff Lemire, Dustin Nguyen doing the art. But what really sold me was Jeff Lemire. He is an awesome, awesome writer, and so this was an interesting concept about children who are vampires who are kind of seems to be raising themselves. Anything else you want to add about this?
I don't like spoiling things, but just imagine apocalypse or post-apocalypse, but with vampires who are kids, and
Okay.
that's it.
Well, I took your recommendation. I threw it on my hold list, and I got it pretty much immediately. So I
Nice.
was excited to get this.
Yeah,
So I thought,
Jacob, I remember in your video you introduced it as something should be killing these children,
Yeah.
and I laughed really hard at that.
Yeah.
that's
I thought
that's
about putting
great.
a graphic of something is killing the children, but I decided against it. So yeah.
Well, who's got something to show next? Jacob, I'm gonna put you on the spot. You're the guest, but
Okay. Well,
go for it.
the first book I have, I'm probably going to talk about the most, um, and it's going to be Bram Stoker's Dracula. Try to get that in the picture right. There we go.
Yeah, Mike
I
Mignola
picked this
covers.
up. Yeah, I was going to say that. Yes, I didn't realize that until I was actually looking at it. It was Mike Mignola cover, and Roy Thomas adapted this from the movie script. And I picked this up in the dollar bins, and it's one of four. I don't have all four, but I just ordered all four off eBay, so I'll have the whole set. But what's interesting about this book is it's adapted from the original screenplay, not strictly the movie. Like they do director's cuts of movies now. They
Hmm.
never did a director's cut of this movie, but the comic series, this series, is the director's cut. So there's scenes that they deleted from the movie that are still in this book because really the books released before the movie did, which is strange because a lot of times like now they do like prequels or kind of tie in comic book series when they release a big show or movie. This was a straight out adaptation from the movie before the movie came out. So it was kind of strange. And this is Top's first comic issue ever released. They started their whole comic run with this book. And the art, like I said, it's beautiful. Mike Mignola before Hellboy, so it's
Right, right.
yeah, really really
So
awesome. The book really reads really well.
you've got that. Is that still sealed in the poly bag?
It is. It's still sealed, and these being Topps books come with trading cards,
Of
so it
course.
still
Of
has trading
course,
cards in the
naturally.
bag. So yeah, it was really really sweet to find this in the dollar bin. So yeah, it's my debate now. Well, I'm going to pop it up and read it, this copy, and probably bag some of the cards. But I've got, like I said, another set that's also sealed heading my way. So yeah, pretty nice $1 pickup with a nice little story.
Awesome. Okay. Cool. Before I let you go away, which nice share. Why the name Bone Claws Comics?
Oh, that's a long story. I'll try and shorten this down. So my favorite character is Wolverine, if that's not been made obvious.
Mhm.
And the first issue I ever had of Wolverine showcased his Bone Claws comics. Now, it's not the first appearance of his Bone Claws, but it was the first, I guess, usage of his Bone Claws
Okay.
in an actual fight. And I wish I would have pulled up the issue now and showed it since we're talking about it.
Oh, that's okay.
But the issue really, as an adult, I pick up on things that I didn't pick up as a kid, obviously. Like, if you read the book as an adult, you may pick up on like his sense of vulnerability and his coming to terms with his new reality of not having his healing factor like he used to, of the adamantium being gone, the claws that are now almost a hindrance to him instead of a gift. And like in this specific issue, Wolverine 77, he's attacked, and the person who's attacking him shows pity on him, but when they realize that he's in this state now, so it's almost like a respect for your enemy, but at the same time, it's like you're not the prize I thought you were, type deal. So it's
classic anime. Come
yeah,
back when you're a more worthy opponent for me.
right. Well, it's Lady Deathstrike. So she's after his adamantium. When she realizes he don't have it, you're of no use to me, so I'm not going to fight you anymore. But yeah, so Bone Claws, I really enjoyed it when they introduced it in the films, and yeah, it's just been
Cool.
something I liked, and it was available. So Bone Claws,
yeah. I mean, obviously, I knew it was Wolverine. I just wonder what your personal connection was to it. All right, Hagan, you're up. What'd you bring?
Yeah,
to show
Jacob,
us?
I'm just really glad that you don't really like Wolverine Origins or X-Men Origins Wolverine. I'm glad that's not the reason for that.
No.
So I'm gonna give you guys a choice. I brought two books like specifically tailored to each of you. Do we want to do Silver Age or Modern Variant?
Oh, let's save that Silver Age. Modern Variant.
Okay.
Modern Variant.
We'll save the Silver Age then. So Jacob, I brought this for you. I am not a huge fan of facsimile covers. I don't really know why. I think it's because like a lot of times they'll have the modern price on them and that immediately just rips me out of it. Like if it were a 1-to-1 cover of a book that I could never ever own, like that would be one thing. But yeah, so what I have in front of me is a Hulk 181 variant. And it's a Hulk 181 facsimile, but you would never know that because this is the cover. This is an Avi Granov. I think his name's Avi Granov. Cover. And you've got Wolverine and Hulk fighting on the front, but you've also got Cap, Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Black Bolt is there in the background for some reason. I got this on a Whatnot stream. I thought it was Buy More, but I think now that I'm remembering, I think it was Frankie's Comics. They do this thing where they do like a damaged book sale, or they used to. And this came up. They were like, this is normally a $20 variant, but it's got some damage, so we're going to let it go for $3. And I was like, I mean, that looks really cool. So I'll go ahead and buy that. And the damage that they were talking about, let me see if I can even find it. Yeah, you're not going to be able to see it. There is the tiniest of scuffs on this corner here. So like, man, I can't get a 9.8 out of it, but it still looks like this. I don't care at all. I couldn't possibly care any less. This is just, I love this like pre-colored, like sketch style, not sketch, but you know what I'm trying to say. I just think that looks tremendous. I mean, at this point, just get a poster, but it came up, and for $3 for some awesome art, I can't really say no to that.
I want to say the artist is kind of the one responsible for the Iron Man redesign that before he drew him in, I think it was Extremis, and I don't know if that was the first time or not, but I know that's the first time I really noticed that Iron Man looked cool. It wasn't the shell head bucket helmet. It was, you
Yeah.
know, that real stylized helmet. So
Yeah, he for
I've
sure makes
always
him
liked,
look a lot sleeker. He's got
yeah.
that, like, if you can see his face there, he's got like the more
Mhm.
angular looking face instead of
Yeah.
the shell head thing going on. Don't get me wrong, I love classic Iron Man, but one of the cool things about Iron Man is you can change his appearance however you want to, and it's totally fine. Like
Right.
he just got a different suit. It's whatever.
All right. Cool, man. That's a cool
That's
book.
awesome.
All right. I brought one. This one is going to be for both of you. And like, this is one of these things that the longer I look at it, the worse it gets. So we have New Mutants 93. And it's like, I'll tell you what I like about this is it is Liefeld. But Todd McFarlane did the inks. So I'm trying to get that light up. It almost looks okay at certain points. Like I look at it and it doesn't, it's definitely Liefeldian, but it's not like the worst hatches I've ever seen. It got a little bit cleaned up. But if you look, like Wolverine's body, the way he's perched on him like a mantis, and then these dainty little feet down here that are wrapped around Cable's waist. And then even McFarlane could not figure out what to do with Wolverine's crotch. Like it doesn't anatomically work.
Right.
Yeah, if you look at it, you can see how like slim his waist is, and his legs are so scrawny, but his upper body's just jacked. Yeah,
And these long, thin calves in the boots. It is atrocious. And so I got this. I don't know. It's one of those things. I saw it. I don't collect New Mutants. I don't collect Liefeld or McFarlane really, but it's just one of those things I couldn't leave behind for a couple of bucks. And as I was digging through boxes, I thought, oh, you know, Hagan will hate this because the art, and Jacob will hate this because the art. So I'm going to show it to both of them.
Absolutely.
nice.
Now,
I haven't read it.
I don't think that's certainly not as egregious as some of Rob Liefeld's other stuff.
Yeah.
And we need to appreciate bad art more. Because good art gets all the credit, right? Everybody loves good art. I'm a connoisseur of awful stuff if I can get it for like $1. So I'm not opposed to seeing something and being like, oh my god, that's absolutely disgusting. I must have it.
Yeah.
That's
when the price is low,
part of
I
it.
jump on things like that for sure.
Yeah.
If it's an oddity, if it's something I'm afraid I won't see again or see for that price, I'll totally jump on there for sure.
Right.
So anyway, that one was just kind of a joke, but yeah, that's for both of you. You got something else to show us, Jacob?
Yeah. So you know how I think I texted you guys yesterday talking about how you can find books in your collection that you didn't realize you had. And
yes,
I was digging through my boxes looking for books to show, and I found this set actually of Topps Mary Shelley's Frankenstein that goes perfect with the Dracula.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it's the whole set, 1 through 4, and it was marked for $1. So I picked this up at some point in my collecting career, all set for $1. And these are in poly bags too. They're not sealed, but they have the trading cards, and it's the exact same concept, except this book series was adapted from the Frank De Niro Frankenstein movie that they did in the mid-90s.
Yeah, that was not great.
It was not a great adaptation.
That was not great. Now, but, I'm old enough. I saw that movie in the theater. I remember going to see that in the theater and being very disappointed.
I remember both these movies coming out. Now, I was not old enough at the time to go see them, but I remember them, like, especially Dracula, because when it came out, it was everywhere. It was huge. Like, if that movie came out today, it'd be even bigger. Look, I mean, it's loaded. Like Anthony Hopkins, Keanu Reeves.
Oh yeah,
and directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Come on, guys.
And freaking Gary Oldman, man.
Yeah,
he was amazing in that. So who's on writing and art on the Frankenstein?
Roy Thomas is on the writing again.
Okay.
Roy Thomas. The art was somebody I didn't know. Raphael Kayanan, I'm not familiar with. But it was not Mike Mignola again. But yeah, Roy Thomas again with the adaptations, like he does. So yeah, it was a pretty cool find in my own collection. So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
I actually
I
read
really
the first
like that.
issue
I
yesterday
really like that
afternoon.
cover too.
I do
Yeah.
too. Yeah. I mean, that's not something and like you said, find things that you didn't know you had. That's a book I didn't even know existed. So
And
that's
a lot
kind
of
of
people
cool.
don't. Yeah,
You
like
know?
I kind of researched it a little bit when I found it because I wanted, somebody who had read it all, and because I just read the first issue, and there's nothing like there's not a single YouTube video or Reddit
Wow.
thread about this book series, which is I think crazy because it was a pretty decent movie, like as far as buzz when it came out, not as
Mhm.
far as quality, but you would think it'd be a lot bigger than it is. So
Yeah,
surprised me.
definitely something a little forgotten.
Yeah.
That's cool. Hagen, what do you got next?
Okay. Let's see. I'll save that Silver Age for just a little bit longer.
Okay.
I want to talk about a shameless cash grab. There's a difference to me between a cash grab that has no soul or whimsy and a cash grab that has a lot of soul and whimsy. And the cash grab that I have in front of me it's Jeff #1. This is a one shot about Jeff the land shark. You can see him right there up at the front. I was like looking through comics that were coming out in a week or two a couple months ago, and I saw this come up, and I looked at it and I saw what it was about, and I think it's ridiculously cute. It's got a very like I said, whimsical art style. And I'm not a huge fan of Captain America. Has to be drawn in a specific way for me. Like there's a specific way that he looks, and I think that this person does a really really good job of doing like a cartoony, like approachable version of all of these characters. And one of the reasons why I love this book is because I really enjoy it when superheroes do mundane things. So there is an issue, or there's a part in this story where it just shows like superheroes doing their laundry and just like other stuff around the house. I don't know. I don't know why I love that so much. I think it's because like we get action stuff all the time, right? There's a new event every single year. Stuff like that happens all the time. But this is the Avengers sitting down for like a meal and having a meal together, and Jeff the Land Shark is helping cook food. I just think it's adorable. And like, is it a shameless cash grab? Yes, absolutely. But
So this is
like it was
how
$3.
modern is how recent is this?
Let me look at the date. I think it came out sometime either this year or last year.
Huh. I hadn't heard of it.
I haven't either.
May 2023
Okay.
is when it came out. So
Adorable.
yeah, it's Jeff. It's a family friendly comic book. I had a stack of dollar books with God knows what in it, and I slapped this down right on the top of it, and I said, "All of these, please." And they said, "All right."
So is Jeff an established character, or is he somebody who was
I
created just
think
for this
like
one shot?
I think like barely. Like
Okay.
he's his first appearance is in a Young Avengers comic, and he is, I think, Kate Bishop's pet roommate. Um, and but yeah, he's he's exactly what you think he is.
A shark
Kind of
on
like
land.
how we all knew that Wookiees came into Star Wars to sell stuffed animals. He's exactly what you think he is.
Okay.
But there is no like stuffed animal of him, and I think Marvel's missing out on a giant payday
yeah.
because I would buy one. I'm just saying. But yeah, just a little something that you probably have not seen before.
I had not seen it, so
Nope.
thank you for bringing it. All right. My next one is for me. This is like one of my literal favorite books of all time. It's a 4-issue miniseries that led to a short-lived ongoing. I bring it up because I wonder if either of you, being, you know, a little more versed in Marvel, might know more about the character than I do. This is the Nomad miniseries from 1990. This is Jack Monroe, who was a Bucky. You can see Cap is in the background there. But he was not a Bucky of Steve Rogers. I'm pretty sure he was a Bucky of, what was the other guy's name? Not Patriot, but U.S. Agent.
He was not a Bucky of U.S. Agent. So there was there was a Steve Rogers impersonator who was pretending to be Captain America for a while. Turns out he wasn't. And he Jack Monroe, I believe, was his Bucky.
Okay.
And they ended up meeting up later. I'm not sure if this is the same person, but I think Jack Monroe was in Avengers #4, and like as soon as Steve Rogers wakes up, he's confused, he's discombobulated. He says like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that Bucky's dead," or whatever. And then a couple pages later, he's like, "My God, you look just like Bucky. You could be my Bucky." And like, it's just such a wild swing. But yeah, he was Bucky for a Captain America impersonator. I don't want to say the name because I don't know if I'm right, and I don't want to get absolutely flamed for that. But yeah, he ended up becoming the Bucky for Steve Rogers, and then they had a spat falling out, and he became 90s Nomad.
Yeah, and he's very like, I don't know. I was very into this art. It's very stylized, almost like it reminds me of Batman the Animated Series. It's almost a little cell shaded, but I mean, look at him blowing this guy's knee off right there. You know, I mean, It is like peak 90s violent. And every issue of this miniseries is him kind of going to a different city. He's trying to solve a mystery of who shot this woman and why, and it happens like right at the very beginning. I'm not spoiling anything, but every city he goes to, there's a phrase in it where he says something like, "Here it is: me and Miami go together like apple pie and semi-automatic machine guns." Every city has a pairing or a simile that is, they're so bad, but they're exquisitely bad. And like, it's endearing. And he, you know, I mean, he ends up, as the series goes on, he's solving the mystery. We got Nomad on a horse with his Captain America Bucky memories in the back. And then my favorite thing is when they just decide, you know what, we're going to do a kind of our own lone wolf cub, and we're going to let him steal a baby and name it Bucky. And he keeps it. He keeps the baby, and he takes the baby on his Punisher-like adventures of shooting up warehouses full of, you know, crack dealers. It's wild. And so for a hyper violent, you know, Marvel violent of the 90s, which everything kind of was, it was a series that just really appealed to me. It had a lot of Punisher edge to it. And so I don't know if either of you have read this, but this was a series that just spoke to me when I was 13 when this came out, and I was buying it off the rack.
Yeah, I have not read that, but seeing that just really reminds you that the past was a different country, you know, like that's crazy.
Yeah,
it really was. and you know, if that book came out today, it would have been, or you know, it would have been a Marvel Max title.
Oh yeah.
And they would have pushed it even farther, but you know, they did everything they could under the general imprint. But yeah, I don't know, he was a character that I just always liked. He was that, you know, that classic Marvel street level type of hero. But he was full of guns, and he would just flat out cripple people in the name of American righteousness. So, all right, that was my share for a little bit. I think it's Jacob's turn again.
Yes. So this one I also picked up recently at Heroes Con. If you saw my videos, you've seen it, but I thought I should bring it out because I know, Nate, you're a Trekkie like I am. I don't know if Hagan, I don't know if you're a Trekkie. Okay, awesome. So we'll all enjoy it. It's the Star Trek #1 DC. Awesome pickup for $1. Oh no, this one was 25 cents actually because it was a Sunday pickup, and I
that
can't believe that.
Is that volume 1 or volume 2?
This is volume. This is volume 1. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
yeah, this is volume 1, and
that's awesome.
It really is. And I picked up like the first like 6 issues, all for 25 cents, which is a crazy good find. But the book is interesting because it kind of picks up its own continuity a little bit, because if I'm not mistaken, it picks up right after The Wrath of Khan, the second movie.
Correct.
Because if you look at it, Spock is missing from the cover.
Mhm.
Conspicuously.
Yeah, he's dead. But if I'm not mistaken, again, they kind of do their own little thing a little bit in this series, where they don't stick with the movie series. They kind of do their own little thing. But yeah,
Well,
it was pretty awesome find.
Don't quote me on this, but I have a lot from volume 1 and volume 2. My take on the Star Trek that series, volume 1, is that they just kept telling a story like what would happen if after Wrath of Khan, and they had no idea that Spock was going to come back. I mean, they made his son David kind of a main character. Carol Marcus is in there a lot, and who's the Saavik, the Christy Alley character. She's in it quite a bit as well, because they didn't, I don't think they knew where they were going until later, and maybe that's why volume 1 was canceled, was once the movie came out and they realized how different things were. I'm going to jump in real quick here because what I've got here just goes with it. I brought these to share as well. So I picked up these annuals. This one here, I think Spock looks great. That's a great Leonard Nimoy in the background there.
Yeah.
Whoever the art on this one's really good. And then the other one, I am more of a next gen guy, although I like any Star Trek. But this one here, I love me a good holodeck. I like Picard as a Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
And in the background, if you can't tell, that is Dwight Schultz. That is what is his name in the show? Barkley, the guy who gets the holodeck addiction.
Yep.
and has all the crew, the ladies, as romantic interests on the holodeck. But yeah, I brought those too. I was hoping someone else would bring some Star Trek, because man, do I love me some Trek.
I love Trek, but I'm a big, like, if I had to pick a top, it'd be Next Generation.
Yeah, me too.
I love Next Generation. There's something obviously there's something super classic about the original series, but I mean, Patrick Stewart is a Shakespearean actor, and he put his whole foot in every performance that he gave in Next Generation. It was just fantastic.
And it's not just him. I mean, they have so many. I was literally just watching today as I was doing dishes. There Are Four Lights, that 2-parter, and David Warner as the Cardassian. He's another. Just you see all these amazing English Shakespearean actors show up and play, the villain of the week, or they really asked everybody to jump all the way in on that show.
Yeah.
After season 2, season 1 and 2 is a little rough. Season 3 to 7. You got another book to share?
You glitched out on me for a second there. Let's go ahead and let's do our Silver Age one. I saw this on Ricky from All Sorts of Words channel, and it is a Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen book, and it is this. This is I got this just because of the cover, because I love that Silver Age DC covers have like an entire like vignette where you can see like a glimpse into the story, and this is Jimmy Olsen, Superman, this joke has gone far enough. I don't want to marry a female King Kong. And then you've got Superman down here in very culturally appropriate garb. Sorry, Jimmy, but as a local witch doctor, I now pronounce you man and wife. And like this happens in the book. Not like this happens in the book. And I thought that this was going to be one of those like like clickbait before clickbait existed. No, they fully committed to this. I think I got this
Nice.
for like $8 at SC Comic Con,
Yeah.
something like that. Which is like right in the sweet spot. Yeah, I just
it looks
saw
like
this
it's in
on.
pretty good shape.
It's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not. But yeah, I saw this on Ricky's channel and saw the ridiculous cover with the insane man marries monkey thing, and I knew that I had to have it. I absolutely just had to have it. So this is Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen number 98.
I sadly do not have that one. The Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, pretty much any Superman, Superboy adventure action, anything from the Super family of the 12-cent era, I will grab because they are often hysterical. And like you said, sometimes they show you, they clickbait you, they misdirect you with the cover, and then other times it is exactly what was on the cover and you can't believe that they did it. And either way, it's a ton of fun. Yeah. I love Silver Age so much, man. I love that you own that, and please tell me you've read it because it is hysterical.
I have read it. I didn't read it super closely. Like I sort of flipped through it, but after watching like a lot of your read throughs of Silver Age, like Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, I'm gonna crack that open again and give it another read and really pay attention to it this time.
If I remember correctly, I think Comic Tropes did a read through of that one once, maybe even recently. I think he did an episode that was about guerrilla covers, and he at least talked and I love those stories so much. And there are a lot of monkey stories, and Kongorilla is a character that shows up a lot in as a backup feature, and then we'll cross over into those titles. Yeah. Can't recommend that enough. I love it. All right. I jumped in a little early. Jacob, let's go back to you.
Oh, okay. Let's see. I'll do this one next. Again, I picked this one up recently. I've had issues of this before. It's going to be Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 8. This is actually a trade that I found in a dollar bin comic box.
Wow.
So they stuffed this trade in a bag and board and sticked it in with the $1 comics. So I'm like, okay, I'll take that deal. So yeah, interesting enough, Buffy, if you're not familiar, went for 7 seasons in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I'm a huge Buffyverse fan. And the comic book picks up for season 8. And this is volume 1 for season 8. Written by Joss Whedon. A lot of negative things that come out about Joss Whedon, but I don't judge the art on the artist,
Right.
So he kept it going with the comic series and wrote the comic series. So it's decent, I guess. I mean, there's a reason, I guess, the show got canceled. But yeah, if you're a fan of Buffy, if you like the Buffyverse, you can't go wrong with it. It keeps the same spirit, of course, with the same writer. But it doesn't leave.
$1?
Yeah, for $1. Yeah.
Yeah,
and a trade for $1.
No matter what you say about Joss Whedon, like, he's not getting one red cent of that dollar that you paid for that. So
right.
To me, like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you like the art and you're also not supporting somebody who you don't want to support, I really don't see anything wrong with that at all. And like a trade for $1?
Yeah.
Come on now.
I mean, separating the art from the artist, I think, is important a lot of times, unfortunately, because humans, period, we are all flawed. Yeah. I have a huge collection of Warren Ellis, who's one of my favorite writers, who also had some issues, but I also try to keep in mind, like, I don't remember what the thing was more recently, but there was something came out, and all I could think was, oh my God, what about all the people that just worked on the movie? Or just worked on the show, the guys doing the lights, the guys doing the whatever, and they're relying on their, those same residuals to come in, and one person's going to screw up the whole thing for these hundreds of people, thousands of people who are working on it, and it's a slippery slope. You don't want to support bad behavior, but yeah, I'm with you. He's not going to get any of that money. And there's no reason not to enjoy the universe that was created by not just him, but other people as well. Cool share, man. Good find. Gosh, where do you get
Yeah.
trades for $1?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Jump back to Hagan. Get my next one lined up.
All right. So I told you that I like superheroes doing mundane things. I saw a comic panel of one of these two comics, and I knew that I had to pick them up. And they are these. This is
Oh,
Batman number
yeah.
36 and 37. These, uh, this first one, number 36, Batman and Superman are both going about their crime fighting days, talking to their significant others. At the time, it was Lois Lane for Superman, as it's been since time immemorial, and Catwoman for Batman. And they were both talking to one another. And Superman didn't send out like an invitation, or sorry, Batman didn't send out an invitation to his wedding, and Superman was being all kinds of like confused about it. And they were talking the situation through, and it ends with them saying like he's gone through all this stuff. They were each saying this about each other. He's gone through all this stuff, and he's come out to be such a better man. He's just a better person than I am. And then they like accidentally meet up. Like Batman is scaling an elevator shaft, and Superman is riding an elevator, and they come out and see each other. And Catwoman's like, "Do you want to go on a date?" Which leads into Batman number 37, double date. They go to a fair, and it's superhero day at the fair, and they are not going to be let in without superhero costumes. So they don't want to go as themselves because that wouldn't be a fun comic book to read. So they switch costumes, and you see Clark Kent in Batman's costume with his glasses over the top of it. It's just fantastic. Lois Lane is dressed up as
awesome.
Catwoman, and Catwoman like flirts with the ticket booth guy to get let in. And they go to a batting cage together, and they're both just hitting balls and talking, and they end up saying like, "Hey, this isn't difficult enough. Hey, Clark, you should pitch to me." And Clark's like, "I can't even pitch to John. Uh, you know, there's no way you're going to be able to even see the ball." And Bruce is like, "You'd be surprised at what I see." And so, of course, like the book ends with them going to like some abandoned baseball field somewhere. They've switched back into their costumes, and you get to see Batman homer off of Superman, and
Wow.
it's just such a fun like. It's just really fun. I just really enjoyed it, and I saw the footage or the clip of them in the batting cage together with Clark wearing his glasses and Batman's costume. And I was like, that's just so neat. I need to get both of those. So I ended up picking those up a little while ago and wanted to show those off.
And that's Tom King's run, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. See, he is another one that like I just kind of like Jeff Lemire. If Tom King writes it, I'm willing to give it a chance because he has been so strong.
Have you read? Oh man, there's a book that he wrote. I've got a copy of it in my living room. I don't remember what it's called. Something about the talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to Google something really quick.
Okay. So Tom King, one of my favorite characters is Mr. Miracle. And Tom King did a Mr. Miracle series. He did a Vision miniseries, and both of those were very critically, praised. And then I've heard a lot of people be down on him lately because they say that he only does, he kind of does the same thing every time, a psychological breakdown of his characters. He did a miniseries, Supergirl World of Tomorrow, which I think they are using as the bones of the Supergirl movie, which was freaking wonderful. I loved the art. I loved the story. I have really liked everything he's written. I didn't like the way his run on Batman ended. I read it all in trades that I got from the library, but I didn't feel like that was him. I felt like it was editorial, mandates given from on high. We're gonna do what we always do before we hand it off to the next guy. We got to make sure that the status quo is realigned.
Yeah.
So
if you want to see Tom King being his most Tom Kingy, there's a book that he wrote. I think it's the first book that he wrote. It's called A Once Crowded Sky. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
no.
It's set in in a different superhero universe, and like that thing that you're talking about where it's a psychological breakdown of all of his characters, it's that, and it's
Okay.
beautifully written. And it's a novel, so like if you're all comic booked out, you can go read a novel about
Yeah.
essentially a comic book, and it has comic book pages in it, so like
Awesome.
that counts for something, right?
A
um
Once Crowded Sky.
a Once Crowded Sky by Tom
All right.
King.
It's on the list.
Yep.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, I didn't know that existed. Who's up? Is it me?
You are. Yep.
Okay. All right. So this next one, again, this is from the PC. This is a something I have had. I don't know. I'm gonna have to check the year, but Hagan.
Yeah.
Okay. Written and illustrated by my favorite artist, Kevin McGuire. He is known for his facial expressions. He is the artist from Justice League International, which was the Keith Giffen, JMD Mateus. I talk about it a lot, but it's the bwahaha, the funny Justice League. I thought the art in here was fantastic. He chose, if I can get it to focus, he chose to draw every scale on Cap's, costume.
Mhm.
And I've actually read interviews with him where he has talked about what a mistake that was. It put the book horribly behind.
Mhm.
But if you've not read this kind of, it retells Steve Rogers' origin. It very much, when I saw the Captain America movie, I had so many like brief flashes of reading this, because a lot of it felt like that's where it was from, at least up into a point, him being the skinny kid, and how he got the super soldier serum and everything. And then very sadly, in my opinion, at the very end, issue 4 is not drawn by Kevin McGuire. He couldn't keep up with the schedule. So the 4th issue, the cover is by him, and then the art is drastically different. Overall, though, still an awesome story. Red Skull's in it. It's a very World War II story. But yeah, the art in this last one, it gets a little 90s.
Yeah, that's definitely
Those
that's
cheekbones.
definitely not the art from that first one.
No,
So
it's
that the very first one that you showed off, I had in my childhood short box. That was how I knew the origin of Steve Rogers, because I didn't have, like, at the time I didn't have a Cap 109. I was 10, so I didn't have $2 million to get a Cap number 1. My allowance wasn't quite that, so I picked that book up out of a dollar bin and read the crap out of it. And
Yeah.
it was like square bound, so it felt like reading a book. And I think I have all 4 of those. But the first one's my favorite. I remember really loving the art and like getting to know the story. And my first copy it's not torn up, because I read with like careful kid gloves, but
Yeah.
it's definitely red for sure.
Yeah, it's from 1991, and I'm actually shocked at how good of a shape mine are still in, because this is something I have read multiple times, not just because I like the story, but because I am so enamored with any art that Kevin McGuire does. I just love that one. So it makes me very happy to know that it's the only Captain America that I own, but I love it.
It's
I
a
love
good
that
one to
Cap
own.
fan loves it.
Yeah.
It's a very good one to own for sure.
I love origin
Cool.
stories.
It's well done. And if you've not read it, it's definitely worth a read. And it's something that I do see in the cheapo bins. It's not something that's hard to find or that's expensive.
You can
All
get
right.
all 4 of them on my comic shop for like $8 right now.
Oh, that's not.
I might have to check that out. Definitely will check that out. Okay. So next one time. This is going to be a cautionary tale. So
here we go.
I have issues where if a book looks good and it kind of sounds good and it's in a dollar bin, I'm going to pick it up. I found this series again at Heroes Con, and they had all 8 of them, and I got all 8 of them. And talking about the Iliad, that a lot of people didn't know existed, which I didn't either. Again, Roy Thomas adapted Homer's Iliad into comic books. But yeah, I read the first issue, and I kind of regret buying all 8.
Ah,
Well, I have to ask, had you read the Iliad?
yes,
As-
I'm
okay.
a huge history buff. I have a bachelor's degree in history, and yeah, I love the period pieces, the historics, the classics. I love this stuff, but this is a chore. So yeah, it looks good, sounds good in theory, but could have been done better by a
That is a
kindergartner.
shame.
It is, and now I have all 8
Ah,
to just sit somewhere because I don't think anybody would take it from me.
see, I
so
was hopeful because like I had to read the Iliad and the Odyssey in high
Mhm.
school, and I got through them both, and I liked them, but like it's a very archaic way of writing, and
Yeah, they're classics. Yeah,
it's hard. It's hard to read. So I love when books like that get turned into something that's a little more pizzazzy.
palatable.
That's easy. Yeah, that's easier to get through. So
Yeah,
it makes me sad that that didn't happen with that.
it definitely was not palatable. I mean, you could work your way through it if you really wanted to, but after the first issue, I'm kind of like, that was harder than it should have been, and I have no desire to continue going. And the artwork it's not bad, but it's more, if you grew up in a church, those kids church books,
oh no.
the artwork is akin to that. So yeah,
Oh
so
no.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's
So
That's
funny.
never what you want.
never. At least you know in bad comic art they at least try. This looks like you put it together with a magic marker.
That
So
the covers look really good.
it
Yeah,
looks nothing like that. Yeah.
especially the painting behind the character. That looks awesome, but that's
It's
tough to hear.
yeah, I mean, it's the gamble when you pick up books from a dollar bin, but
Yeah, you
Yeah.
for sure win some and lose some.
All right. I'm gonna go. It is my turn, right?
It's
It
your show.
it doesn't matter. I'm gonna go lightning round, okay? Because I got too much here. So I'm gonna go quick here and just show some dollar bin freaking gold. So the first one I got is Guy Gardner Warrior number 0. Number 0. It's not foily, but it seems like it should be. Guy
Mhm.
Gardner was a Green Lantern who wasn't a Green Lantern in the 90s, and he was a Yellow Lantern, sort of. He had a Yellow Lantern ring, but yeah, there's this Warrior period where he was 90s as all get out. And as if that's not enough, how about some Extreme Justice number 0? Look, look at Blue Beetle. Look at that. What is that pose? And then I don't know what they did to my poor boy Booster right there. I don't know what he's
I
wearing.
didn't even recognize that as being Booster Gold.
It's
That's crazy.
okay. Now I'm going to tell you the craziest part. This isn't bad. The art's terrible. Okay. And the interior art is terrible, but the story itself is not, you can actually follow it. A lot of these 90s books, like the art's so bad, I can't tell what's going on. The story is nonsense. This was not the worst thing I'd ever read. Like I got to the end of it and I was like, oh, I like these characters a lot. So it was kind of like surprising to me. I guess this is don't judge a book by its cover, the good version. But still judge this cover because this is bad. Nobody should like this. How about, okay, I always grab a number 1 when I can, and I found Impulse number 1 for $1. I have most of this run. I have this number 1. I don't know if mine's in this good a shape or not, but I don't leave a number 1 behind for $1. This one, when I got it, the guy said, "Why did I put this in the dollar bin?" Captain Atom with Swamp Thing on the front. I mean, this is cool.
That's an
That is a
awesome cover.
cool cover. And this is another one that, I'm putting the run together and didn't have. This this is, I love Bill Sienkiewicz's covers for 80s and 90s Marvel, and this Dazzler with the Trans Am and the Jazzercise suit, California. I mean, this is like, holy cow, this is peak 80s Dazzler
Mhm.
cheese. This one, and this is saying something, this is one of the worst issues of Dazzler I have ever read. This was assistant editors month at Marvel. So everybody on the book was from the junior league, and it shows. This one was so hard to read, but this is one of my favorite covers, just based on the Trans Am alone. If only there was like some Burt Reynolds in there somehow. This thing is like, this is magic to me.
Well, there's cocaine inside the book, so I don't know if that's 80s enough for you
Well,
or not.
It's the reading aid.
Somebody, it's like trading cards. Somebody had already taken those out, unfortunately.
Ah, man.
The last one that I found was Spider-Man, Storm, and Power Man, who's not on the cover for no good reason. He should be front and center. Battling Smokescreen, which is one of these public service comics, and this one is an anti-smoking comic. And there is literally a gang who is trying to get the high school track team hooked on cigarettes so that they can bet against them and make money. That is the freaking plot. And it's awesome. And Luke Cage, dressed like Power Man in his big puffy, yellow shirt with the power bands and the power headband, he's coaching the high school track team. And it's just freaking. This was actually so much fun for something that they probably just made in a weekend to get some kind of tax write-off, But I just love finding weird stuff like this.
Yeah, that's cool.
Those anti-drug issues are the best. Like I've got you showed it off a while ago, but the Captain America's War on Drugs.
Yes.
I saw that. It had that sticker like this book is sponsored by the FBI, and I was like, I need to know everything about this. Yeah, that's amazing.
That Captain America drug one too, like it ticked me off because it ended on a cliffhanger, and they'll never finish it. No one's ever going to finish and let me know if I need to know if Captain America beat drugs or not. They just left me hanging. That one, like this one was better. This one was hysterical. The Cap one was kind of like very paint by numbers and infuriating at the end. It was like when you're flipping through and you're like, well, they're not going to wrap this up in one page. This is going to keep going. All right.
So let's do this. So I'm going to do a little bit of a lightning round as well. I don't know anything about this series. I saw the cover and wanted to pick it up, but Jacob, you might be able to tell me something about this. This is Wolverine Origins. Mm-hmm. I know that there are keys in this series if you're into that sort of thing, but I'm personally into Captain America beating the ever-loving hell out of Wolverine on the cover of a comic book. I just think that's really fun. I actually really like the history that these two characters have together, how they've like fought side by side for a weirdly long amount of time. But yeah, so this is Wolverine Origins number 20. And I have evidence for you that new comic books are not all garbage, and you don't even have to like look at indie comic books for that. This is Avengers Twilight, book number 6. This is a 6-issue miniseries, and it's amazing. It's the Avengers post glory days in a dystopian future. They did something really cool, which is they made one of Captain America's villains awesome, and Captain America has notoriously C-level villains. But they did it, and this whole series is great, and the way that this team interacts with being in like a ultra fascist future is just, it's awesome. It's a great read. All the covers are done by Alex Ross. The interior art is done by Daniel Acuna, who's really, really good, and it's written by Chip Zdarsky. So if you are an Avengers fan and you haven't picked that up, go pick that up. This is a cover that I haven't seen anybody show off, but one of my favorite Avengers villains is Ultron. And I don't think Ultron gets a good cover treatment a lot, but this is my favorite cover of his, and it is this. This is Avengers Volume 2, number 19, and I believe that this is a Perez cover. And it's just like it's a negative space-ish cover. The only color on here is the red outline of like classic Ultron's face, and it looks really, really awesome. And I actually really need to read this run. I'm wanting to get all the ones up to this and then read them, but I just wanted to show you guys a cool Ultron cover.
That is a cool cover.
My wife has impeccable taste, except for her taste in men. But the very first comic book that she picked up was this. This is Something is Killing the Children. Have you guys read this?
I have, yes.
Okay. I put off reading this for the longest time because I was like, I'm a superhero guy. I'm into superheroes. I don't know if I'm going to like the whole like monster thing or whatever. I read this first one and then tore ass through the next 6 volumes that she had in 2 days. This is fantastic stuff. I need to read more James Tynion. I just got through the first volume of Nice House on the Lake, and I'm waiting for the second volume to come in. Because those are awesome as well. But Something is Killing the Children, really, really good. And the last thing that I'll show you, I am a little bit broken up that I don't get to like go to Terrificon because there are a bunch of people that are going up there that I really, really admire and would really love to see. But that's just going to have to be a next year thing for me. So I was thinking that the next best thing that I could do would be to send a comic book up there so that I could have a whole bunch of guys sign it. And Brandon from Mon Comics has already agreed to take this with him, which is super cool of him. But I was thinking, like, all of these guys like such different stuff. What's something that I could get them to all sign that none of them are going to like feel weird about, you know? So I got this. This is generic comic book number 1, published by Marvel Comics. I have read this. I cannot tell you a single thing about it. The text on the front says this comic contains one neurotic superhero type with a variety of personal problems, one bad guy bent on world domination through arcane means, a sordid villainous hench people, the hero's nefarious employer, pathetic family, and well-endowed girlfriend, a plot containing a conflict, a subplot, a resolution, a plot twist, and as many fights as it takes for us to fill up the rest of the pages. I love this. And so I think this is the perfect book to get a bunch of YouTube shitters to sign. Like, yeah, I don't think it gets any better than that.
That's amazing.
Nice.
That is amazing. I love it. Yeah, I too am tore up about Terrificon. I mean, not just obviously there's a lot of people that you and I have both met that I would love to have a chance to hang out with, but my gosh, the creators and the guests there. It really is like one of the most tremendous conventions I think I've ever seen. So I've already decided that that's something that I think I'm really going to put in to try to attend next year, but it has to be a next year thing for me as well.
Yeah.
Jacob, you got any lightning round or anything you want to show?
I don't know about lightning round. It might be a very short lightning round. They're supposed to be, but yeah, I would like to go to Terrificon just to compare it to Heroes Con, because and maybe get all those guys to come down to Heroes Con next year too, because it's Heroes Con is amazing too. So.
Yeah, it looked amazing.
Yeah. It was fantastic. It was the best con I've ever been to by a mile.
Yeah, I haven't been to a lot, but it's going to be hard to beat for me.
Cool.
So the first, again, another gamble for me. I haven't read yet, but really interesting. Anne Rice is The Mummy.
You are all over these classic monsters, man.
I am. Anne Rice, if you don't know, wrote, the Vampire Chronicles, starting with Interview with the Vampire, which is one of my favorite books, and movie adaptations of all time. I never read this book. I've never read this comic book version of it, but Anne Rice did go a little crazy.
Yeah, she did.
So I don't know how this is going to be, but I figured for $1, I mean, I'll take that risk. I bought there's 3 issues, and I got 3 issues, so we'll see if that's another regret purchase or not. I have Dark Crossings. This is not a monster book, but I found it interesting because it's a crossover between Witchblade, Tomb Raider, and The Darkness.
I was about to say that is Lara Croft on the front
Right.
cover.
That is, yeah. And this is issue 1 of, I don't know. It just says issue 1. I don't know. I know nothing about this book, but it looks interesting, and it has the Witchblade and the Darkness in it, which I'm a fan of. So I figured I'd pick it up and check it out. But yeah, Top Cow Comics, again, who did Witchblade and the Darkness. So
Yeah,
nice little.
that is quite the 90s triangle there.
Yeah, yeah. They actually just started Witchblade over again with a number 1. I want to say this month. I haven't had the guts to check it out, but a lot of '90s bangers don't translate well to 2000. So
Right.
that's what I've got.
Okay. All right.
So,
I'm gonna hop back. All right. I think we'll close it out here soon. I've got 3 here, 3 books that I picked up really cheap. Let me be honest here. This first one, this guy had in a dollar bin. And this is X Factor number 6, first official appearance of Apocalypse. I saw it. He was talking about he had bought this collection off Whatnot, and he was just trying to get rid of everything. And I mean, he had some very minor X-Men keys that I saw in there, and I was pointing those out to him, and I found this one, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't grab this for $1 and go away. So I told him, I said, this is a key. You should probably look this one up. And he ended up selling it to me for $15. And that was still a good deal, because this can be a $25 or $30 book. So I was really happy to get this one. And I do collect X Factor. And so I always kind of felt like this one would be not a huge, but a little bit of a speed bump in getting the full run put together. And so then the next one that I found that I also said, hey, this one's kind of a money book. Because I was honest about the first one, he let me have this one for $1. So I got both of the, I do feel like honesty is the best policy. I'm not here to rip anybody off, but this is when Angel gets his wings ripped off and becomes the Archangel. And this is a famous cover that is pretty well known. This last one, I will say, I did get for $1.47. And this one came from a toy shop. And again, the guy was like, I was honest about it. And he just said, no, I just want it out of here. So, good for you. Amazing Spider-Man number 293. This is part of the Craven's Last Hunt. So I'm not an Amazing Spider-Man collector, but I do have this as a trade. This is written by one of my favorite writers, J.M.D. Mateus, and very famous, Craven hunting Spider-Man, and the black suit Spider-Man gets buried and comes out of the ground at one point. It was a big deal when it came out. And so when I saw this, I was like, there's no way. And I got a couple other books from him too. And again, like, he was just like, no, that they're priced as their price. They're priced to move. So take them. I think one of them was an X Factor number 1 that I got that was a better version than the one that I already have. So those were 3 dollar bin gold or flea market gold, however you want to look at it. I don't come across those enough. I don't think any of us do. But I love it when I find something like that, that's something that I want for myself,
Yeah.
Or something that I know somebody else. I'm like, oh, so-and-so would really like this, and I can grab it. And you just feel like you're going to be able to pass that along real easy. So let's see. Hagan, you got something else to show for the end?
Well, I mean, you guys know that I had a fairly big pickup recently, and it's just sitting here on my desk staring at me. So,
why don't we look at that?
Well, twist my arm, why don't you? Fine, okay. If you're gonna beg for it, then I'll show it off. This is Avengers number 4. Yeah, like I did not think I would be able to own this book for sure.
Not see that in a slab is like insanely cool to me. Like,
yeah, I don't want to slab it. I have no interest in slabbing it. I'm gonna get Jeff from Comic Spot to touch it up and really more preserve it than like improve the grade, because the grade, it's gonna be what it's gonna be, and I don't care about the grade. Like, the colors look great. It's all there. That's really That's really all that I wanted. And so like I could have gotten a slabbed book, but I would have paid probably close to double what I paid for this, and I don't need one. So everybody else can go and fight over like the 2.5s and the 3s. And there was one that I saw there that was like an 8.5, and it hurt my eyes to look at it. But yeah, this is like the perfect book for me. I'm just overjoyed to have it. So yeah, like this was I'm going to Heroes Con with X amount of dollars in my pocket, and I'm either going to walk out of here with like 300 really cool small books, or one giant one, and then like some other cool stuff too. So that was a very, very successful time at Heroes Con.
Yeah.
Speaking of successful times at Heroes Con, Jacob, do you have something nearby that you'd like to show?
I do. We've established that I'm a Wolverine fan. So I picked up Hulk 180. Yeah, it's a 6.5 slabbed. Now, this is the first appearance of Wolverine. You can fight me if you want, but it is. So I was originally not looking to get this to find a slab copy. I wanted a raw copy, but this was $600, and when it was all said and done, $600 for this 6.5, which is a great deal. All the raw copies that were there were ridiculously expensive. Like the next book I had that I saw that was close to this in condition was $1,000 he was wanting for it raw. I'm like, I'm not gonna go with that, but I do still want a raw version, so I might crack this thing open to keep the raw.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
Well,
I'm a little hesitant.
I loved your video on this because you convinced me. I think of just because Wolverine doesn't appear on the cover, if he's in full uniform, it's not even like there's a Jimmy Olsen first appearance of Darkseid that is apparently just Darkseid on like a TV screen in the background.
I was just about to say that. Like we call the first appearance of Darkseid him shadowy on a TV screen, and he's not named. Meanwhile, in that book, if I'm not mistaken, Wolverine has a full page, like
he's
3
got
speech bubbles and his name in that font. Like
the last panel of the book is Wolverine, full regalia, full body picture, posing, and his name, the Wolverine. I mean, it's a whole panel. Like, how is that not considered a first appearance? I get cameos if you have and if you're a background character or you're a shadow or hands or something, that could be a cameo. But he's in all his glory right there.
Yeah.
So,
and I think people argue like the 181 thing just because 181 is such an iconic cover and it's so expensive now. But like the money book doesn't have to be the first appearance. Like it can be it can be the second, third, it can be some random ass book in their run that people just seem to gravitate towards. But money doesn't determine like what it actually is.
There are plenty of books that are popular that have zero key significance. They just have covers that everybody knows. The McFarlane Batman cover. That's a very expensive book. Nothing happens in that book that is of key significance. It is all 100% about the cover.
Yep.
So I'm with you there. There's no reason.
That's a perfect example because I have that book graded, and I'll never crack it because that book is the cover.
Yeah, right.
That book is the cover. This book is the panel inside.
Yes.
I vote you crack it. I'm just saying.
I do.
I know that you want to actually put your eyes on that panel. Yeah. So and that doesn't seem like the kind of thing that you would be like itching to sell,
No.
So.
And also it sounds like you got a pretty dang good deal and the case didn't cost you nothing. So crack that baby.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I probably will. But I still want to ruminate on it a little bit.
Just be careful.
Right.
Oh, you don't have to listen to us.
If I crack this thing, it's going to be on a video. It's going to be on a video.
Good.
If I mess it up, the world's going to see.
Well, gentlemen, we were shooting for about 30 minutes and we are well over an hour at this point. So I think we're going to wrap it up and say goodbye. I am very glad that you both were willing to come and hang out and talk with me. Your socials and your channels are going to be linked below. Does anybody want to talk about anything they've got coming up for their channel? Because I don't know what I'm doing next.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I have a couple ideas floating around, but like with last week being the way that it was, and I'm doing like a ton of stuff not for my channel this week, like I'm pretty shot. So I'm probably gonna end up doing some stuff on like Sunday, posting it later on in the week, and then at some point Jacob and I are going to be doing a hunting video together. So that's pretty cool. That'll be coming out who knows when.
You guys are like real men.
Yeah. That's what my birth certificate says.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Jacob, what do you got cooking?
Well, I've got a lot of stuff actually. I'm starting to do. I'm going to do a bookshelf tour. If you see my videos, you see my background is my bookshelves. I'm actually planning on moving in here, which is my office, which is not where I usually film, but I'm going to start moving stuff in here to have a more permanent base because I usually film in my living room. So I'm going to be doing a tour of the bookshelves before I, destroy everything by moving it. I'm also going to be doing some talks about modern books because that's what I originally wanted to do with the channel, is talk about, books that are coming out now from the big two and some indies that are actually really good that people don't give any credit to, or talk a bunch of crap about for, clicks, because, negativity sells, when in reality, there's some really good books coming out that nobody's given as, due credit. So I plan on talking about those. Stuff like that. Some more hunting stuff. I know my channel's still new, so I've got maybe 2 or 3 books that I've talked about, and the rest has been Heroes Con and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm starting to be videos of talking about books.
Cool. I'm excited because I love your bookshelves. I've commented on them a few times because you've read a lot of the same things I have. The Joe Abercrombie, you had The Expanse back there too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I've read all that stuff, and it is freaking. I wish there was more time to read and talk about the things we've read. There's just so much good stuff out there. And I like what you just said about, it's so easy to be negative because there's a lot of stuff out there that maybe you don't like, but if it's not for you, then just leave it, because there is plenty there is more than you'll ever get to experience in your life out there, man. And there is some good stuff, and I want to read it.
Yeah.
Well, if you are not subscribed to either of the gentlemen who are on this video with me today, please go check their channels out. They are wonderful, wonderful guys, and they've got great stuff. They've impressed me. So thank you so much, everybody, for checking in. And we will do this again sometime, guys. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to stop the recording, but we'll still hang for a minute. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I appreciate you so much, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.